What is good? We're back. We have a little Dynasty wide receiver rankings for your pleasure. Got my man Chev with me for this one. How you doing, man?
You knew me, brother. Any day on this side of the dirt's a good one.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to go through our top 24 2025 Dynasty wide receivers. We got them tiered up for your pleasure. So let's jump right into it. I got tier 1 as Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. Those have just been the locked in point scorers, target share guys, all that good stuff. Values all kind of right where it needs to be. So I got those guys locked in as my tier 1 top 3.
Sweep it. There's no need to stand on ceremony with, the elite former wide receiver ones. I mean, those guys are in that tier for a reason. Now, when we start moving around a little bit, there's some guys that could creep into this tier, sure. But these are just the guys that haven't done it yet. Quite literally, these are the guys who have, kind of set the standard at the position, with Jamar Chase kind of being, the alpha of all alphas in terms of overall fantasy ceiling. If you look in sleeper at your leagues, he's going to have 2 of the top 3 wide receiver performances in the history of your league. And I think 2 of them came this past season. So, and youngest Triple Crown winner, whatever. So
right,
they're all in that tier because they've done it. They're elite. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg to acquire these guys.
Yeah. No concerns about Pickens, Jordan, CeeDee over there, right?
No, if anything, that makes it better because they occupy 2 totally different parts of the field.
Yeah.
Like CeeDee's incredible after the catch, and in the short areas, he can hit home runs. You saw the 92-yard touchdown against Detroit, but George is going to play like the Michael Gallup role that offense has missed for the last 2 years.
Sorely needs, right.
Yeah. Like that's, it's great for George. It's great for CeeDee. It's great. It's the best for Dak.
Yeah.
If they're gonna throw the ball 600 times, just wheels up for every piece of that offense. So yes.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Tier 2. We're gonna try to keep this a little shorter and sweeter for your pleasure with the rankings. Not gonna get too deep into discussion here. We'll do some of that on the Patreon for sure. So make sure you check that out. We got for my tier 2. I'm going Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Puka Nacua. Nico Collins, Brian Thomas, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I know nobody's going to like this, but I'm keeping Marv in that tier.
Oh, wow.
I'm a little slower to react than some people. I think the value's still holding reasonably strong, and we had 2 guys do amazing things that are already up in here with Brian Thomas and Neighbors last year. But when you look back at rookie seasons of some of the all-time best, Marv's rookie season is right there with him, right? It wasn't a bad rookie season. It just was bad in comparison to 35% target share and a ridiculous ceiling from Neighbors and Thomas, right? So I'm leaving Marv in there, and that's mostly because of the value standpoint. Like, came in as a high value, holding the value. If he takes another step forward, I think his value stays strong, and I think he's a really good receiver. I moved Drake London to the top of that tier, mostly because, all these guys are the younger, elite, very good to great target share kind of guys. We've seen it from pretty much all of these guys outside of maybe Marv just yet. I moved Drake up to the top. There's just really no competition added there. And we have Penix coming in who, last 3 games, 8 targets, 13 targets, 18 targets for Drake. In the last 3 with Penix, it's 39% target share. Now, I know that 18 really bumps it up, but there's no real added competition there. So I just put Drake at the top there of just, I think he, for me, seems very safe. It doesn't mean that I really prefer him a ton over any of those guys because I'll take any of these guys. I did move Drake to the top. Maybe more of a statement as of anything, but I really like that. Puka's great. Nico's obviously got a little bit of competition for a while. He, for me, was pushing to be in wide receiver 1, in the wide receiver tier 1. But maybe with a little more added competition, it gets a little bit more watered down, but he's one of the very best in it. And like you said, any of these guys, I think, could push into tier 1. St. Brown probably concerns me the most, not because of him, but because we've had everything switch up. And when we see everything switch up, when it's the offensive guy who's the head coach, it's not that big of a deal traditionally. We have a motivator, a good coach, but we're just not sure what that system's now going to look like. We've had like the most coveted offensive hire in a while with Ben Johnson finally leave. So I don't know exactly what St. Brown's role is going to look like. It's probably going to be fine. But even last year, it didn't quite feel like it did in previous years. Will it be Laporta or JMO featured? Will Tesla get a big role? Is it going to be even more run? I don't know. He's he's my biggest concern in that tier. So what you think, Chef?
I've got basically my order's a little different, but the tier's the exact same. I just don't have Marv in that same tier.
I don't think anybody else does but me. So right. I already know it. Y'all have to be mad at it.
That's fine. I don't think anybody's going to be mad at you for it because people you got to be a thermostat, not a thermometer in Dynasty. You can't overreact to Marvin Harrison not having a nuclear rookie season. Malik Neighbors literally set the target record. So mine goes Malik Neighbors, Puka, BTJ, Amon-Ra, Drake, and then Nico Collins.
I like it. So around the same guys, a little bit jumbled order.
It's literally the same tier. It's just I don't have Marv in tier 2.
Right. And I'm trying to give you a ranking from top to bottom of kind of how I like him. I've just been really feeling Drake recently. I just feel like it's a really easy path to just elite usage and a good player. So
quite literally, if you're talking 160 targets, you upgraded at the quarterback position and you've seen Michael Penix be willing to hyper target him. There's no reason why he'd be a dark horse candidate to finish as the overall wide receiver 1 with guaranteed volume and quarterback play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I like it. And I'm a big Penix guy as well. So, maybe playing a little favoritism, but all those guys right there, I don't think you can really go wrong. And so let's get into tier 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So leading that tier, I have Rashee Rice in tier 3. Now, I think Rashee could be a tier 2 guy easily, right? If he would have finished the season last year, he would either be right where Drake London is at the top of that tier or right around where Malik Neighbors was, but he was on pace to be one of the best receivers in the league. It just obviously got hurt. We'll see how that would have transpired through the whole year if it would have kept up like that, but man, it looked really good. And we're coming back in. So Rashee Rice has been one of my favorite targets since he got hurt last year to buy. So hair down from those guys, and it did get a little more crowded. Worthy broke out. They brought Hollywood back in. They drafted Jalen Royals. So I do expect this Chiefs offense to take another step. I do to not take another step. We've already seen it be really good. To go back to a previous self, I see more explosives coming. I see a dangerous 3 wide receivers and a 4th one that can come in. I see Travis Kelce, and they do a good job of rotating other tight ends in there who can do what they need them to do. So I view Rashee Rice as the best in this tier. And then I have Garrett Wilson, Ladd McConkey, JSN, AJ Brown, and I know I'm gonna get hate for this probably too a little bit. I got Rome Odunze and then Tet McMillan in this tier. Okay. So that's my tier 3.
Looking for more FFD? Get access to our proprietary ADP, our dynasty rankings, the rookie draft kit, and extra shows every single week. Head over to patreon.com/the FF Dynasty and hit us with that $5 holler.
And when I'm looking at guys like, Garrett Wilson, this was a guy with 25% target share. I know some people might be a little down on him. Again, a big buy of mine this offseason. Like nobody's selling Ladd or really JSN. You could certainly buy Rome, but Rashee and Garrett in this tier are huge buys for me. 25% target share, 35.3% air yard share. First read targets. We had 31% for Wilson. Devontae Adams was at 35.1%. Like, I just feel there's going to be so much volume and targets going Garrett Wilson's way. He had over 100. He had over 100 catches, 101, 23 missed tackles forced. I know that's not like a huge indicator or anything, but I like guys like that who can move a little bit after the catch. That was 3rd overall in team TD percentage, 22.6% with 7 TDs. I think that number can go up this year. I think we could be in double digits easily with Garrett Wilson for TDs and really high in the team TD market share, 27.5 in yard market share. So all the stuff was even pretty good there last year. I know they added Devontae Adams, and before that, Garrett Wilson was like wide receiver 5. If Garrett gets the volume, he's a really good player, right? And for some reason, people are down on him. I think the Fields-Wilson connection is going to be just fine. Probably not going to be nearly quite as throw heavy as maybe we saw last year with him and Rodgers. But I think that connection is going to be thriving and, just a target hog with Garrett.
No question about that. Garrett is, I think he's the 6th most targeted player through 3 seasons in NFL history. I mean, there's the elite of the elite from an all-time perspective for him. I think that it's going to work out very well. My tier, so Marv heads off this tier for me, then Rashee Rice, then Ladd, then Garrett, then JSN. So it's a little bit smaller of a tier. Smaller.
No AJ Brown.
Yeah, no AJ Brown here.
Yeah, I could have broke this tier off at Rome and Tet here, I think, a little bit, but I chose to keep them together. Like, I believe in Rome Odunze, the talent. I think he's great. It's a little crowded there. If you want to bump him down another rung, that's fine. I like him as a talent over Tet, so I just kept him one above Tet. Is Tet going to have the better year this year? Probably. Is Tet going to gain more value this year? Probably, right? But I put Tet at the end of this tier, and that might be high praise for Tet, but I think he's going to walk right into just easy targets, easy volume. And we saw Canales, really bring Mike Evans up to the forefront of that offense. And I'm not saying Tet is Mike Evans by any means at all. I'm just saying that maybe he could be used in that Mike Evans-esque role that he put Mike Evans. Mike Evans was already great, but he was really shining with Canales there in the year that Canales had him in Tampa. So I think Tet can come in there, gives him a big-bodied guy to do a bunch of different things with. Tet moves really fluidly. I think he's going to be a nice safety valve for Bryce. Gives him this big size and fluidity that he can throw some jump balls too, but I think he's going to be able to get open, and they're going to draw up plenty of plays, i.e. the kind of the Evans thing, not so much as the player of Evans, but drawing up plays to get him the ball like he was drawing up plays to get Evans the ball, right? That's kind of where the target was kind of going to. A.J. Brown's just been A.J. Brown for so long. Like I said, maybe I could have split that up. He's kind of the old guy in this tier here, but still, I think, probably another year or 3 of just eliteness, of just dominating.
He was elite last year from a per game perspective. The whole thing with AJ Brown, and I'm a big AJ Brown fan. There was no one more distraught when we traded him, because I don't think people realized what he was until he got into a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. But I was screaming that the entire time. It's just that he's a little bit older. So this was all younger guys who have done it or, have shown extended flashes of doing it. I know people are going to say, well, Rashee Rice only did it for 3 games. It's like, no. Go back to his rookie year from weeks 9 to 18. He paced for like 160 targets and 1,400 yards. Then he comes out and averages 21.2 points a game in the 3 games prior to, Mahomes torpedoing him and ruining his season. So we're kind of on the same type of time for the most part. I broke that tier up a little bit more, a little bit differently. Now, going into this next tier is where it gets real, real spicy.
All right, what you got? Because I've only got one more tier from here. So yeah. So I led off with Tet, and then T, and then AJ Brown. Okay.
And then Jordan Addison.
Ooh.
And then Jameson Williams.
Ooh. So you got J-Mo up a little higher than I do, for sure.
Yeah. I am getting alarmingly bullish on J-Mo.
All right.
I got J-Mo and Jordan Addison.
That's interesting. Why I got Addison and J-Mo in the same tier, but it's a tier below the tier that I'm about to talk about to finish this up. So why the faith in Addison with a new quarterback in town? Like, I had JSN in that last tier. He's probably the one with maybe the biggest question mark outside of usage for Rome Odunze, because we don't exactly know how this offense is going to function and how Sam's going to target JSN. But we know we saw a stud performance, and we know he's a stud. So got him locked and loaded there. Value's good. Addison had a really nice back half of the season there, but we switched some things up, and now we've got 3 guys we got to feed. So you feel really comfortable with Addison then, I guess, huh?
I feel very, very comfortable with Jordan Addison. I think now this requires JJ McCarthy to not be, Nick Mullins or some of that sort. But I mean, his first 2 seasons, he's in pretty elite company as guys who, amassed about 1,700 yards and almost 19 touchdowns over the course of the last 2 seasons. And I feel like he's showing you time and again that when Jay Jettis was out, he stepped up, he performed admirably. And then last year, in spite of the suspension, 15 games, 94 targets, he still was extremely efficient. If you want him, he's a precise route runner. He wins contested catches. He can win down the field. I see this as an Omega, like the makings of an Omega level talent. This is Devontae Smith with the volume. Like he's going like that passing offense has supported, Kirk Cousins to a ridiculous pace. Then last year, Sam Darnold has a career year. If JJ McCarthy is what they think he is, I don't see how JSN isn't like bumped up a tier going into next year.
Or Addison, rather.
Yeah, Jordan Addison. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
We're talking wide receivers. Got way too excited. I haven't been super bullish on JJ McCarthy, but this is more of a bet on Kevin O'Connell and the draft capital. And yeah.
All right. Well, I got my last tier here and definitely can have a little bit of conversation to end it here, and then I'll kick it back to you. So I got Xavier Worthy, and I got Zay Flowers. All right. Okay. And then I kind of have a big chunk of rookies here next, because when I look at the rookies, I go, I probably want all of those guys over, and Jordan Addison would be one of those guys. I think I want to take a shot on Travis Hunter, Luther Burden, Ibuka, Golden, and Trey Harris potentially over the next tier of guys, which is like the DKs, the Addisons, the Devonta Smiths, right? And maybe that's a mistake on my part, but it's just I find myself, and I came to this conclusion because I find myself when I'm in the startup drafts and the mocks that I'm not really looking at those guys, and I find myself going, I'll wait a round or two and I'll grab these guys. And I'm not quite as bullish on grabbing Devonta and Addison as I have been in the past. So I've kind of moved that big chunk of rookies up in my rankings above those guys. I'm not sure if I'm going to completely settle out on that as time rolls on. This is kind of the first version of the rankings after the draft. So as I have more time to digest this and go through things, some of these rookies may dissipate into that next tier, and some of those guys from the next tier may move up. But I just view those guys as basically, and when you're in the startup and you're drafting them, like they're tickets that people really that a lot of people aren't going to turn down. Like a lot of people are going to be excited about that. Maybe Trey Harris might be a guy who needs to drop down out of that tier a little bit, because I don't think people are quite as excited about him as maybe you and I are. Right. But the Burdens and the Ibukas and the Goldens and Travis Hunter, of course, people are real excited about those guys. And so it has more appeal to me from a fluidity standpoint when I'm drafting a team to maybe target those guys over. I think half the people have kind of decided on Devonta Smith being like, hey, I like Devonta Smith. I'm just not sure about the volume. Hey, I like Addison, but there's a lot of yeah buts with those guys. The yeah buts haven't really been created with the rookies yet. So I've been finding myself having those guys up maybe a little higher than I should. And I know people probably don't think Zay Flowers deserves to be up that high, but I love Zay Flowers. I think he's just cracking the surface. From year 1 to year 2, we saw a jump. We have 24% target share for Flowers on 115 targets, 2.6 targets per route run. He had a 30% air yard share. He had 25% of the team market share yards, 25.3%. First downs per route run, 0.107. That's 29th overall. Missed tackles forced per route run, 0.28. That's 14th. He's got the 5th most missed tackles forced. First read targets, 29.9%. That's 22nd overall. And yards per route run, 2.35. That's 22nd overall, right? I just feel like there's even more room for improvement on how they're involving Zay. And really, the biggest thing would be a few more touchdowns would be huge for Zay. And I just feel like that Lamar relationship, they haven't really added anybody that concerns me from taking targets from Zay. I just watched an interview with who's the safety over there from Notre Dame?
Kyle
Hamilton saying he's, obviously he doesn't have to deal with them all that, but he's like in practice, he's the hardest guy to square up, right? Because he's just his start stop was he's 1-on-1, right? Like, and those guys, admittedly so, like the burdens of those guys are my kryptonites, but I feel like I can see this role even expanding even more with Monken, Lamar, and Zay going into year 3 here, and we see that target number go up. We maybe see a little bit more efficiency with some targets, and maybe some bigger plays here and there that result in a few more touchdowns. So I really like Zay Flowers. So I have him up here with those guys as well.
Hey guys, be sure to give us a follow on the Twitters, Instagrams, and TikToks. Slide into those DMs and help us beat the algorithm up. Let's go. Back to the show.
That's perfectly fair. I went about it a little bit different. I've got Xavier Worthy, Rome Odunze, Devonta Smith, Travis Hunter, Emeka Egbuka, and Zay Flowers here.
I like it.
So for me, it kind of comes down to what do I believe about Xavier Worthy? Is it more so, was it just a vacuum of opportunity with no Hollywood Brown or no Rashee Rice? Or is it the fact that they kind of unleashed him as a utility weapon because they did not have reliable passing game options? And then you finally saw him take the deep shot. They only did it a few times last year. They did it in week 4 against the Chargers when, conveniently enough, Rashee Rice got hurt. And then in the Super Bowl. I feel like they're going to do more of that this year, so he could be an efficiency guy. He's one of those guys I feel like could go 60 catches for 1,100 yards and like 8 touchdowns or something like that. I don't feel like that offense is going to, Rashee Rice is going to have the higher short area target share because he's running all the routes Travis Kelce's running. Like that's the way that they were phasing that offense. Rome is only down here because I don't know what the hell to do with the Bears target tree. Like that passing tree it's way more convoluted when they go and spend the top, a 10th pick on Colston Loveland, and then they spend pick 39 on, Luther Burden. So he's down here. I still believe in the talent. I just don't know. I don't have the clarity to say, all right, cool. Well, we can lock him in for another. He got 100 targets last year. That might be where we cap out at for now. And it could be better because the system's better, but I don't know. And then Devonta Smith is just limited by volume. Like that's
right.
7 targets a game.
He's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
7 targets a game, 28% target share, but that 28% target share is coming from 360 attempts. Now, maybe Jalen Hurts gets to like 425 if he's able to, if he doesn't leave the game against the Commanders with a concussion, maybe he's able to get to 425, 430 attempts. But most likely it was just him, them running Saquon into the ground because the Commanders had no answer for that. And then Travis Hunter, I've said to exercise caution. We've preached this for weeks now since the draft. It's been about a month since the draft, and we've said, "Hey, we know he's going to play some wide receiver. I don't know that it means that he's going to immediately walk into 120 targets, 130 targets, and we're setting ourselves up for a Marvin Harrison Jr. type of disappointment because." If it doesn't work out the way that we want it to work out, where do we go from here? If you set him up to say, I saw somebody say he could be the Jamar Chase and BTJ is T. Higgins. So quite literally, he has to perform at a ridiculous level. Jamar Chase set the rookie yardage record and I think he tied. No, Randy Moss had 17 touchdowns as a rookie, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, he had 13 touchdowns as a rookie and set the yardage record, if I'm not mistaken. So I just, the expectations are ridiculous. I saw Justin Jefferson in the comments. So I'm just saying exercise a little bit of caution. there's no question about the talent, the athletic ability, but this is the men's league.
Right.
Okay. This is the men's league. Like we have to leave ourselves room for error here. And that's all I'm doing with Travis Hunter. Emeka Egbuka, I'm extremely bullish on. He was my wide receiver 2 behind Travis Hunter, who was my wide receiver 1. Remember. All right. So let's not be ridiculous here. And I think that going into 2026, like that's pretty much a clear path. Mike Evans only has a void year. I mean, he's pretty like they spent that pick so that he could either operate completely in the slot or split snaps with Godwin, or, he's insurance in case any of those guys go down. Mike Evans is 31 years old. So I'm still extremely, extremely bullish on Emeka Egbuka. And then Zay Flowers, we don't have to spend that much time there. Like Zay Flowers is Zay Flowers. He's awesome. Like the one thing that you said that sticks out to me is the touchdown thing, because I just I can't see a path to him getting, he could have an outlier touchdown season where he scores a bunch of 40-yard touchdowns, but Mark Andrews is still on the team. Derrick Henry's still on the team.
Mm-hmm. Lamar's
still on the team.
Right.
He's never going to be the primary weapon in the red zone.
Yeah. No, I mean, you have to kind of take that for what it is. I think you can have some variation here and some up and down from what you see. And he could have some seasons, but I think we can see the targets go up. I think we could see some bigger plays go up. He's somebody who has some big ones, and then he'll have, a little bit of a patch of like, couple of low ones in there. And I think just this year, if we could just we're going to remove more of the real low end stuff. Whereas I just feel like the high end is going to be good, and then it's going to be a bunch of middle stuff. So I still got a lot of faith for another year jump for Zay Flowers. All right. So are you good?
Yeah. I mean, that was my 20, 24, 25, however many it was.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, they're tiered. That's, I know I haven't been the biggest tech guy, but I am a big Bama Bryce guy, and I feel like he offers something completely different. So you guys will say I flip-flop, but we got new information. I got to adjust. I'm not gonna just stay static with everything.
Yeah, we're gonna do these rankings once a month. I'm sure, again, like I said, with these rookies coming in here, I may dissolve some up and down, but that was just kind of the way I was feeling about it. And just because I have them in this order doesn't mean you need to draft just off of this order, right? Some of these guys are a little higher or a little lower than what their ADP is. So you kind of have to know that going in and adjust accordingly. Like I'm leaving Rome up there to say, hey, this is my guy. I'm leaving Marv up there because, hey, the value's still good and I still believe in the guy. And then I got all these rookies in here because I like the value of them, and I still think they're some golden tickets to be passed out. Whereas, guys like Terry's a little older, but he could give you a win, and guys like Olave we're not sure of, and DK Metcalf is kind of that fake alpha-ish, but can be really good. DJ Moore is in the Bears offense and a little older, and then we talked about Jordan Addison and Devonta Smith. And those would kind of be a lot of the guys in the next tier for me. And I like the rookies and the way the public's going to view that value a little bit safer in the long term than maybe some of those guys there. So that's kind of the spiel there. But dude, rankings are so fluid, man. It's one, for me, it's one of the toughest things to do and provide for y'all, because I mean, by the time tomorrow hits, I might move a guy up or down a tier, and they should be fluid. You should be moving stuff around and figuring things out. There's a lot that goes into rankings, as sort of value and age and point scoring and all of those things. And how do you want to play it? So it's always fun to do this exercise, but it's also a little nerve wracking for me on my end to bring it out here and discuss it. So we'll have some longer discussions on the Patreon throughout the off season, and make sure you keep it locked and loaded over here at the FFD. Make sure you subscribe and all that jazz, because like I said, we'll hit you with some dynasty rankings once a month and see where we go from May to June here. I think it's gonna be pretty interesting. I think there will be some movement for sure. So Chev, where can we find you, big dog? It's all on the Twitter. It's all, just click the link tree. You'll find everything there. And then go download the app, Duck League Champ or League Champ, in the App Store and Google Play. Boom. You can find us and me, Casey, Chev, at the FF Dynasty, bringing you all the stuff that you need to win your league for your pleasure. Peace.
How would you like it if we paid your 2025 league entry fee? All you have to do is submit proof of a 5-star review from Spotify and or iTunes, click the link, and fill out the entry form. Multiple entries allowed. In fact, come into your friend's phone to quadruple your chances to win. Each losing entry will automatically roll over to the next post contest, all for your pleasure.